This makes absolutely zero sense. A New York Jets insider has revealed a statistic that is absolutely mind-boggling based off everything that Aaron Glenn says and what we see on the field, but we got to break it down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Digest. Before we get into the video for today, only 30.7% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. So if you are not subscribed, please take a second, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But let's get into what we got for today. From New York Jets insider Rich Cimini, the New York Jets snap counts, Michael Clemens gets more playing time than Will McDonald, who continues to be removed on some rundowns. So, Will McDonald, it's not anything new that he is coming out of the game when we are expecting the other team to run because he's still an undersized defensive end who specializes in rushing the passer. The problem is, why is Michael Clemens getting more playing time over him? The point of Michael Clemens is, or the thing that Michael Clemens has been getting known for Jets fans is the poster boy of late hits, of dumb penalties, which is exactly what Aaron Glenn says he is going to eliminate from this football team. So why is Michael Clemens the guy who's being rewarded for the Jermaine Johnson injury? Once Jermaine Johnson's out of the game, there's more snaps to go around at defensive end. Why is Michael Clemens getting the lion's share of the defensive snaps? I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but the snap count, for people wondering, it's something like Michael Clemens at 31, and then, at 51, and then Will McDonald down around 31, which really doesn't make sense. I know Michael Clemens is a better, more well-rounded pass rusher than Will McDonald, or defensive end than Will McDonald, but Will McDonald has to play more than Michael Clemens if you're Aaron Glenn and you're really serious about, people are going to get punished for making mistakes, and the same mistake is not going to happen over and over again. It really feels like this team, the same exact thing is happening yesterday, or as last year, where the coaches might say something differently, and they might say that we're going to get things fixed, but things aren't actually getting fixed. The team still is running up penalties like absolute crazy, and the players committing penalties are staying in the football game, which really doesn't make sense when we're talking about a position like defensive end where we have enough guys where, I'm not saying completely bench Michael Clemens, but he can certainly take a lot less snaps and other guys can get some snaps, because this team is 0-4. At this point, I'm not expecting to even make the playoffs, but what I am expecting is when you make dumb mistakes, I expect you to get taken out of the game. And at this point, even if the defensive end that comes in for Michael Clemens is worse than him, I would rather watch a worse defensive end play clean football and not create penalties than Michael Clemens play better than him, because this is exactly what Aaron Glenn said he's going to remove. He said the dumb penalties aren't going to happen. We're going to be a smart football team. That's not happening. The New York Jets are one of the highest penalized teams in the NFL for a second year in a row. If people are worried about Braelon Allen, sounds like we should be, because coming from Rich Cimini, Braelon Allen, a big part of the game plan until he suffered a knee injury. Aaron Glenn would not comment on the severity, but acknowledged that it didn't look good when it happened. So sounds like we can expect to lose Braelon Allen for at least 2 to 3 weeks here, maybe more. We're going to get more information on his knee injury today, which is unfortunate because it is really fun to watch Braelon Allen play football, and he's running through guys when he is healthy. But getting more from Rich Cimini, tweeting out this morning about the Jets stock report after last night's football game. Stock down, the number one stock down guy right now is Aaron Glenn, and he's talking about, "You are what your record says you are," a quote from Bill Parcells. And the New York Jets are 0-4 right now, but the reason why Aaron Glenn's stock is going down, it's not because of the record, it's because of the way this team is losing. If you don't have the right guys to match up with any specific team, that's one problem. The problem with the New York Jets is they are completely undisciplined, and they frankly don't look like the coaching is good enough, and that's a problem for Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn is obviously not even close to the hot seat right now, but if the New York Jets still look like this in December, Aaron Glenn is going to be a one and done. He has to do a better job as a head coach, and he has to get these penalties not 100% fixed, but they have to get a lot better. This team, penalties and discipline was supposed to be a strength for this football team, because that's one of the things that Aaron Glenn's culture can bring. But it's absolutely one of the biggest problems that this team has, and we have to get that fixed. More stock down, Braelon Allen with his goal to go fumble. He also fumbled the ensuing kickoff after that, or in a couple plays later. When you get injured in Braelon Allen, I guess you can be okay with that fumble. And on the goal line, he was reaching the ball out, trying to make a play. You got to be more careful, but I really don't think the Braelon Allen plays were the worst part of last night's game. The worst part of last night's game, part of it, kick returner Isaiah Williams fumbling the opening kickoff of the second half. But to me, the most egregious mistake that he made was fair catching a football on the 2-yard line. Why is Isaiah Williams fair catching a punt on the 2-yard line? Rich Cimini tweeted out, does he have a job tomorrow? And I absolutely think he shouldn't have a job tomorrow. If I was on, you wouldn't expect someone to fair catch a punt on the 2-yard line in flag football, in high school football, in middle school football. Why are we making that mistake in the NFL? How's that even possible? That absolutely blows my mind. Smini also has Sauce Gardner as a stock down, which, sure, from where he was, his stock went down. Because that people are saying that wasn't DPI. People are saying that the NFL is focusing in more on Sauce, calling penalties, which is true. They absolutely are. But the penalty last night, he pulled the guy. It was a penalty. Touchdown allowed. Great throw by Tua. Not good enough coverage by Sauce. It is what it is. This is a situation where he started really, really high, so he doesn't have a good game. He's going to go stock down. Not the worst stock down in the world. Pre-snap penalties, absolutely horrible. The referees, of course, were horrible last night against the Miami Dolphins. I don't understand why the New York Jets are officiated differently. Kiki Mauigoa barely touches the helmet of Tua and gets a penalty for it. The problem is that penalty goes right to Aaron Glenn because everyone in the NFL knows that Tua is officiated differently because they are worried about his injury of head. They are worried about his history of head injuries. Aaron Glenn has to coach the team and tell them, do not touch Tua's head because it's going to be a penalty every time. That's on Aaron Glenn. That's coaching. That can't happen. The slide was late from Tua, and it should not have been a penalty. And I think if it's a different quarterback, it would not have been a penalty. But since it's Tua, you can't touch his head. And then talking about the protecting the quarterback, Justin Fields tackled 8 yards out of bounds. It wasn't a hard tackle, but tackled 8 yards out of bounds. If that's a penalty for us versus on the hit on Tua, that our quarterback getting tackled that far out of bounds has to be a penalty as well. I didn't think it was as egregious as the non-call versus the Bills. If you remember, somewhere near halftime, Justin Fields slid versus the Buffalo Bills, and that wasn't called for a late hit on our quarterback. For whatever reason, like I said earlier, we are officiated differently. Garrett Wilson, not an offensive pass interference. Our guys are allowed to have their helmets knocked off, and they somehow missed the hands to the face call. That's mind-boggling. That's impossible. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know how they can miss that. I know on that same play, there was a very egregious holding call against us, which I understand why they called that. And maybe you miss the Dolphins defender with his hands in our guy's face mask. But when Joe Tippmann's helmet is rolling on the ground, you have to throw the flag. Every time you have to throw the flag. Don't even know how they could possibly miss that. Some guys that Cimini has a stock up. Nick Folk. I thought Nick Folk was honestly a kind of a jet move where they're just bringing the guy who used to have success for us. But Nick Folks actually looked pretty good. One of the very few bright spots. And then you talk about Justin Fields as a stock up. Everyone seems higher on Justin Fields this morning. They're talking about how his stats were pretty good, but I'm honestly not convinced with Justin Fields. He had a lot of very inaccurate passes where Garrett Wilson had a great catch in the first half. Breece Hall made a really, really impressive catch in the first half. And they showed the play in slow motion. The ball was wobbling there. I don't think Justin Fields went stock up. He had that 50-yard rushing touchdown, but that's nothing that we didn't already know he could do. My quarterback needs to be able to throw the ball at a high level. And if you can't throw the ball, I don't care what you can do running the ball. Breece Hall did look pretty good, although I do think you can put that squarely on the Miami defense being extremely soft and a defense that we really should have done a whole lot better against and a team that we really should have beat if you don't fumble the ball 3 times. And just one more quick stat from Rich Cimini, who is absolutely carrying this video right now, so shout out to him. Two mind-boggling stats. The Jets are only the 5th team in the past 90 years to be 0-4 with 0 takeaways, according to ESPN research. They've had, no turnovers. I don't know how they haven't forced a single turnover, but there's a whole lot that doesn't make any sense with this football team. Just continue with this tweet. They had 9 offensive penalties, tied for their second most in a game over the past 25 years. Aaron Glenn said this team was going to be disciplined. Where is it? Like, where is the discipline? It's not even a little bit. Not even a little bit is it here. So, talking about Aaron Glenn, the way it's, when you're a first-year head coach, you got obviously a long leash, or you should have a long leash. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. I understand, that Woody Johnson right now, his plan is to give Aaron Glenn a long leash. The problem isn't that the Jets are 0-4. The problem is how they look. And it is coaching that is sinking this team again. Honestly, the coaching, the offensive play calling, I do think Tanner Engstrand is not getting the credit that he deserves. But I hate saying this, the coaching doesn't look much better than last year. It really doesn't. When we were talking about how Jeff Ulbrich had no business being an interim head coach, and this year, just the team, the coaching points doesn't look that much better. I would be okay letting Stephen Wilkes, our defensive coordinator, go today. To me, it's been obvious since week 1 that his schemes are way too vanilla. They're too easy to comprehend as a quarterback, and they just don't create enough problems for offense. This team has gotten completely out-schemed in the pass game, and then cannot put up any pass rush when Jermaine Johnson is not on the football field. Tua way too comfortable last night, and we know Tua is a quarterback who is prone to making mistakes if you can put him under pressure. The New York Jets could not do that, not even a little bit. Really, really awful night. Aaron Glenn, like I said before, no one's calling for his job, but if this team looks this bad in December, he will be a one and done. This team cannot look like this all season, or you have to get rid of the head coach. That's what it would be. Right now, he's still got time the coaching has to get better. That's all I got to say. I don't want to hate too much on Aaron Glenn, but the coaching has to improve. But that's really nothing that people didn't already know. But that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, thank you for watching the video. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Go Jets. Let's go get a win here. Let's try to go 1-4, I guess.